Hello and welcome back to Tech Insights. My name is Samuel Ugochukwu. Good to know that you are still here on the show. Now, let's delve into our conversation for today. Artificial intelligence has moved very quickly over the last few years. What started as experimental tools have now become systems that are directing and controlling how we work and how we live our daily lives, how decisions are made across different industries. In 2025, we saw AI scale faster than many people expected, from workplace automation to content creation, data analysis, and in decision support. Now in 2026, the big question right now is not whether AI will change the future of work, but how deep and how soon that change will be. Well, to help us unpack this conversation, I'm joined by someone who works closely with AI products and education as we talk about this particular conversation. Joining me is David Ajibade. He's a product lead, the product lead at Smart Church, as well as an AI instructor at the Dave's Hope AI Academy. Hello, David. Good to have you join us on the show today.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. It's Dave Shoop.
Yeah. Is that what?
Dave Shoop.
Dave Shoop. Oh, okay. I got that wrong there. All right, let's delve straight into the conversation. Now, this is a field where you are very much conversant in. Looking back at 2025, many people would describe the year as a year that AI truly scaled. We are back here the same time last year having this conversation on artificial intelligence. So how would you say AI fared in 2025? Let's start from there.
Okay, so I remember the conversation we had last year, and I think we had noticed a general spike in the use and in the adoption of artificial intelligence. There is one major factor for that, and that is generative AI. So AI has existed in many forms and in many ways long before last year, long before even the year before last year. So in things like our autocorrect uses AI, Siri is AI, but generative AI actually changed the scope of how people perceive AI. It increased the power to dollar ratio of artificial intelligence. And what that means is many people could now do a lot more with artificial intelligence. So people could take AI to work. They could use AI for stuff, a lot of different stuff, as opposed to the specific uses that AI had. So generative AI actually became one of the fastest, or actually became the fastest adopted technology throughout human history, right? Faster than mobile phones, faster than the early internet, faster than personal computers, because people could have it and use it in many, many ways which they could perceive. So that was the major factor for the increase in how AI was adopted all over the world. And we see it, a lot of offices are actually having people or employees or staff that are using AI. So overall, 2025 showed an increase in the use of AI, particularly generative AI.
Wow, that's great insight there. And AI, just like I read out, AI started with when what's the name of that then again? OpenAI came up with ChatGPT, the first model, and first of all, it was just about charts and all of that. But now we've seen AI grow into doing complex tasks.
Exactly.
And there's virtually nothing that AI can do right now. And that begs the question, 2026, what are we looking at? You saw the CES event that just got concluded this week. You need to see the amazing products that we are on showcase on the floor. What are we expecting in 2026 in artificial intelligence?
Okay, so again, we have to look at the case of adoption. Generative AI scaled very fast, and while a lot of countries, a lot of nations, some spaces are actually very far advanced, we have to take a look at this discussion from the perspective of the entire world. So yes, generative AI, check. They say everyone in 6 people has access to at least a generative AI tool. So yes, we can say that we have accomplished that level of scale with generative AI. So in 2026, what is happening? Now, just like I mentioned earlier, and just like you said while asking the question, the power ratio of AI actually is estimated to always increase after every 3 months. What that means is,
Wow, great
if you,
statistics there.
if you,
Great
exactly.
statistic there.
So if you pay $1 for AI, after 3 months, what that same dollar would get you for AI would be double of what the same dollar got you 3 months ago. So every 3 months, the dollar to power ratio of AI improves. Now, what does that mean? We are moving to a point where people actually integrate AI as moving a step further from generative AI. So more like the next step. So if you look at the different categories of AI or the evolutions of AI, when we leave weak AI and step into generative AI, the next level is agentic AI, which means AI that can actually do
on their own without having been controlled.
So it comes from the word agency. So so I can say you have agency, and what that means is you have the ability to take initiative on your own as Sam and get things done. So agentic AI is
they're able to think on their own, make decisions.
Yes.
And I think that's where started raising a lot of concerns.
Yes.
Leaving these AIs to think on their own, to make their own decisions, and there are fears that at the end of the day, there will be harms. It could cause more harm than good when you leave these AI models to start thinking and making their own decisions. What are the fears? Sorry, I was interrupting that thought.
Okay,
there.
so if we look at the different generations of AI, so for like I said, to answer that question, we've talked about generative AI. The next step of AI is agentic AI, and then we move to, after agentic AI, physical AI, where the power of agency combines with physics and the physical world, where we will now start having robots powered by AI. So most people predict that phones will no longer be in the future. Everybody, just as we have phones, we would have our robots. So you, Sam, would have your robot powered by AI.
Robots that humanoid. Are you talking humanoids now, or?
Well, maybe not that deep at first, but something that can generally be with you, perform tasks on your behalf, and then
I don't need a mobile phone.
You don't need a mobile phone.
I don't need a...
So you could say, put a call through to David, let him know this. David is on a TV show.
Okay.
His robot answers the call. Okay. And let Sam's robot also know that David is on a show, right? But leave a message for David. And when David is done with the show, it narrates. So after generative, agentic, physical, then we now move to stuff like super intelligent AI, which is more or less theoretical. So it is still the debate they are having in the AI space of, okay, at some point, AI gets to the point where it is very smart, very intelligent, can do a lot, and it does not consider human beings in its decision making, just like how human beings are in comparison with ants.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to build a house now, the ants in the environment would not form part of your decisions on whether you would build a house there or not. So that is theoretical in the sense that people don't believe, or there is still an argument in research, right? Can AI actually get to that point?
Because that is one major fear. You've seen movies that at some point they build stuff and at some point they couldn't control it again.
Yes.
I think that control is a very key issue when it comes to artificial intelligence.
Exactly.
Is there ever going to be a point, is there a risk factor that there's going to be a point where AI can get out of control?
Of course, the risk factor is possible. That is why the discussion is there. So there is a lot of discussion and a lot of research going into, would we be able to control this AI long term? But presently where we are is we have AI that can generate. People are using this AI to do, right? Moving to super intelligent AI is something in the far future, right? Looking about...
So right now we are at agentic.
Right now we are at agentic AI. Okay. Proceeding to physical AI. So if you probably watched at the CIS conference that just concluded, you could see that a lot of people had AI-powered machines.
Yes.
So that is a slight transition to physical AI. They are demoing products now, but in a few years to come, those things would be normal, natural.
Wow.
We would have smart houses, smart cars, smart everything. Already they are smart cars.
Yes.
That is an example of physical AI. So the body is a machine, but it has an AI-powered brain. So meaning that there are some activities or there are some things that it can do powered by itself.
And what fascinates me is the fact that, honestly, I would admit, AI is excellent. Like, this one, I was thinking about it. Like, where are we? How are we living before now? Like, how are we doing tasks, doing work before now? You find out that AI even does more than humans could do. Like, more than your brain. What's before you could sit down and have to brainstorm for hours to get something done.
And just like that, you have it done. And you know, that is the progression of human beings. You know, we started life at the agrarian age. So meaning you had to farm to make money. So the number of people who could be rich, right, were limited because money was a factor that was powered by physical strength. So you see, even in the Bible, the story of Job, he was the richest man in his entire area. So, but with the development in technology, a lot of people are able to overcome those struggles. So now, how does it connect with us in a time of AI? What it means is a lot of people now have the opportunity to be things they could not be, to do things they could not do, and to know stuff that they probably could not know in ages to come. So it now actually empowers everybody.
Like, everyone has
the
level
opportunity.
playing field.
Yes, not necessarily level, but the distance is reduced.
You can actually do anything.
You can, yes.
There's no excuse.
A lot of people can be richer. A lot of people can be more influential. A lot of people can do more, have more, become more, because AI is now available to everybody.
Wow. I'm wondering what the world will be like in, say, 50 years to come. With the rate at which technology, especially artificial intelligence, is going, I'm wondering what the world will be like, say, in 50 years.
So look at the last 50 years, for example. The age of the internet and mobile technology, computer technology, it produced some billionaires. So Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, and those kind of people. What AI is doing is actually going to be more or less like a repeat of something like that. We are going to have a fading of powers. So a lot of our companies and our industries which refuse to transition to the AI world will actually be left behind. And people who make that move. So there is an AI company that actually just got bought by Meta. That company is barely 8 months old. But it was valued at over $2 billion in 8 months. So what it means now is that people can create in as short a time as possible, make a lot of impact in as short a time as possible. So if you look at the impact of technology in the past 50 years, you can actually predict what the next 50 years will be, because this is new technology, right? And what that means is everybody now has some level of generative power. So think of the effects of technology 50 years ago, probably multiply by 2. And look at the next 50 years.
That's exponential. That's exponential. Thank you so much, David, as we begin to wrap up this conversation. Let's bring it home right now. We're talking the future of work.
Okay.
I mean, how can industries position themselves? Businesses, I mean, entrepreneurs, how can they position themselves to use AI, align with AI, do their work, and scale in what they are doing? How can businesses, especially in Africa and Nigeria, position themselves for what is coming in 2026?
Okay, so Microsoft actually does this yearly trend and business report. You can actually just Google it and find it. So in that report, there is a prediction of what the workplace in the future would look like, right? And what it means, what that vision looks like is a lot of our organizations are going to have 2 types of staff. Staff with flesh and blood and AI staff. Wow. So there are going to be some roles that are actually going to be occupied by artificial intelligence. So a lot of people would be replaced by AI. So that
has been a major fear. Are we going to lose our jobs?
So I use replace in quotes because with every new coming of technology, some roles go, yes, but better more profitable, and actually more roles come. Take the internet age, for example. So it wiped out the typewriter, meaning the typist was gone. Meaning, what other role was there with the typewriter? So the typist was gone. But with the computer, you have a social media manager. Yeah. You have a web developer. Yeah. You have a lot of all these roles
that all of around
the computer,
ecosystem.
The ecosystem of the computer. Exactly. They are more profitable than anything the typist could have had.
So what we're trying to say in earnest is that while AI will bring replacement of jobs,
those roles
it will also create opportunities around the ecosystem.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Exactly. So the workplace is going to have human staff and AI staff. Any office that does not have this, probably in the next 5-10 years would become history. Because AI knows more and AI can do more than the actual human being. So human beings are actually going to possess more like managerial roles over AI staff. So we are going to have AI staff which are going to be working in marketing, which are going to be working in communications.
I mean, they're already doing that.
Exactly. It's not like it is something so futuristic like that. There are some of these things that work currently already. So what the human being is going to do is to supervise, plan a direction, and give a vision for all these AI tools or stuff to follow.
Interesting.
Yes.
And how is Africa aligning to, are there constraints of how AI is working in Africa as compared to how it's working in other parts of the world? And what do you think because there's a thing about policy helping scaling artificial intelligence. How can African governments look at Nigeria, for instance? What can they do, regulatory bodies, to help AI scale faster and help the adaptation of AI in Africa?
First off, we need to increase the discussions we have regards AI. And some of these discussions actually are going to be centered on stuff like data, data policy management, and all of that, because most of these things are actually powered by data. So how we collect and manage and use data actually needs to be discussed more openly for organizations to know, to understand, and to be able to take note of these things as we continue in the AI world. Also, a lot of training and retraining has to be done for people to be able to understand where they are in the AI world and what they could be or where they could go. So, for example, in the Dave Shoop AI Academy, we've trained over 500 people in the last 6 months, and people ranging from spiritual leaders to founders to professionals, educators, professors, all manner of people, just trying to understand where they are and where the world is going with AI, so that Africa as a continent and Nigeria as a people can properly position. It's not enough to have a lot of people know that, yes, something is coming, but then they are groping in the dark. They don't know what would become of them tomorrow or next week when something hits. It's better if people are prepared, they know what to expect, and they have working and workable plans that would allow them to see the future. So I think those are the things that actually are of major concerns. There are some things of minor concerns, but I think if we focus on those two, one, a talk on policies, AI policies, data policies, and most of those things. So that is a responsibility of individuals, organizations, and the government to have those discussions. And secondly, an exposure to training and culture and everything AI.
Wow. Now that you've mentioned the work mentioned the work you do in education and all of that, what are your plans this year and your organization to bring more of this AI education to the people?
Okay, so we actually do these trainings for organizations and individuals. So what our plans are for this year is to actually have more organizations in our trainings, and we're actually looking to have most of these discussions open to people in government. So our government offices actually need to understand how some of these things work, so that we work more efficiently, we work faster, and we work harmoniously, right? So we are all using the same tools together, and to make sure that the workforce of the public sector is not behind. So it puts us as a disadvantage if we are forward and our public workforce is backward. So that is our major plan. But also we have a plan to actually take this thing to education.
Because
right?
education, it's people need to be aware of
Yes.
what's. I mean, this few minutes we've had the discussion, you've opened my eyes personally on so much that is on the table, and many people don't know this. And
So-
like they say, knowledge is power. So we need to make more people to know.
In the place of education, in fact, we are thinking of primary and secondary schools,
Yes,
just
getting it
in the curriculum.
exact.
So such that children in primary and secondary schools understand what AI is. So because any child now that has
Doesn't understand.
a
I
no-
mean, this should not be the time when children are still learning.
No.
A for apple, X
Well-
for this. I know those are the basics, but there's a way to incorporate AI and get them start learning these things from those young ages.
So just like how we have stuff like coding in the curriculum, for example, in states like Lagos State and all of that, we can actually have some of these AI stable courses or classes running alongside with the curriculum we run in school. So we have children in primary school, they learn about AI, they learn something in secondary school as well, and if possible, something in the university, to make sure that at least we understand the basics of AI and how to use it and how it works.
Wow, thank you so much, David Ajibade, product lead at Smart Church and an instructor at the Dave Shoup AI Academy. I hope I got it correct this time around. And of course, that brings us to the end of today's conversation. But before we go, one more advice you would give to someone who's watching right now. Just one piece of advice you would give to someone who's watching right now on AI and 2026. What tools should they use? I mean,
okay, I wouldn't base the advice on tools, but one piece of advice I would give to you who is watching, I would say every day, learn how to do something new with AI. And what that means is you have to be open to learning every single day, because like I said, the dollar to power ratio of AI increases every 3 months. So the system you probably had for doing things with AI 3 months ago, last quarter, has probably changed or improved or is out of date by this quarter. So learn how to do something new every single day with AI.
wow, thank you so much, David.
Thank you so much.
That brings us to the end of the conversation today. We've been discussing AI and the future of work, looking at trends to watch in 2026. And of course, David has broken it down in bits and pieces, so understandable, and we have a clear picture of what to expect from artificial intelligence and with artificial intelligence in the year 2026. I mean, the takeaway is this. AI is no longer just being built for the future. It's not a future concept. It's here. It's with us. We're already living in the future that we are talking about. And how we choose to accept and adapt to it will determine how well we are going to do and how and who will thrive in this new era. Thank you so much, David, once again for coming on the show today. Yes, David Ajibade is the product lead at Smart Church and an AI instructor at Dave Shoup AI Academy. Thank you for watching Tech Insights today on Spectrum Television. And if you missed any part of the conversation, you need to catch up. I mean, you need to catch up this conversation. You can follow up on all our social platforms to watch and glean from this particular conversation. Till I come your way next time on the next edition of Tech Insight. Keep being curious, stay informed, and like David said, learn one new thing you can do with AI every day. So by the time I meet you next week, you should have scaled up in your AI skill and knowledge. My name is Samuel Ugochukwu. See you next week.